Hello, everyone, and welcome to CineQuest video. Today, we're going to be talking about a new Nordic folklore type of film. It's called The Damned. So,
Would we call this like folk horror, maybe?
it's kind of it's
Yeah,
folklore, yeah, for sure.
I think so.
This movie actually we were able to get an early screener, so we are checking it out early before it's actually been
Blessed.
released. First time officially that we're doing it ahead of time, even though we've gotten early screeners before, and we just do them after
Yeah, I
they
was about
release.
to ask, like, didn't we just?
Yeah, we've done a few. All right.
Although that one was very special, and I think it will always be because it was a vanity piece. So,
Yes. This one, on the other
ooh,
hand, again, before we continue, my name is Ray, and I'm joined by Bryce and Roland uh, to talk
yep.
about this film. And again, just by luck, we happen to be able to get an early screener of this one, and the trailer looked really good. And I actually was surprised at the quality that this one brought along with it, because usually the ones that we get early screening aren't exactly the best films. Hopefully, this leads
You
to us
know,
getting more, I guess, higher production value, and I think this is kind of like a start, because
I'd say yeah,
yeah, I would say
a
so.
pretty
Yes.
good in a pretty good direction.
This movie was directed by Thordor Palsson, uh, screenplay by
Thor
Jamie
got it.
Hannigan. Yeah, Thor. And it
Thanks, buddy.
stars Dessa Young, Joe Cole, Siobhan Finneran, Roy McCain. I don't know any of these people. Never seen any of them. Never heard of this director at all, ever.
Nope.
But I could say I was pleasantly surprised with this one. And
Yeah.
Roland, we all watched
Yep.
it last night. It was kind of late. I tried to set the mood for this movie.
Yeah.
When we saw the trailer, it seemed very vibey, very much a mood.
Very atmospheric,
Yeah.
moody, kind of
Mhm.
thriller suspense.
Yep.
Almost even at this, almost possibly a whodunit kind of from the way they make it look. It's a mystery. Excuse me.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to think of.
So this is kind of considered a horror
Uh,
drama. Just a quick synopsis off
mhm.
of IMDb. A 19th century widow has to make an impossible choice when, during an especially cruel winter, a foreign ship sinks off the coast of her Icelandic fishing village. And of course, they have to decide, do they want to help these people or don't they? And in this
Mm.
case, they choose not to for their own safety, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah. I mean,
Um,
so all the kinds of problems that they talk to the lady about, it's just funny because when they see they come across this event. These people crash their ship, right?
yeah, that's good.
And the people were like, "Oh shit, we need to go help them. We should go." And we're watching them die. And then the head oarsman and then the lady were both of more or less the same mind. It's just like, okay, we
Yeah.
just lost the last leader to something exactly like this.
Mhm.
In that same area, he went over there. He got, I guess, wrecked on the reef or some rocks or something that were out there, and
Yeah.
they couldn't get him back. And so it was the same situation. It's like, okay, you want us to risk our lives? Firstly, we're already a bumblefuck middle of nowheresville out here, already surviving, like, as the bare minimum as they can fucking,
Yeah.
if as they're lucky enough to get. um they don't have the food, they don't have the supplies, they don't have the lodging, they don't have the fuel, they don't have pretty much anything to be able to help people. As much as they want to, they're in a situation where it's like, if we do something, we're fucked, kind of. Like, what do we do? We're still gonna. This is not even said how much longer, in their fishing season that was left.
Mhm.
For all we know, they could have been halfway through it, and it's already like, what do we
I
do?
think they said it was like 6 months or something like
Hmm.
that. Are they're I don't know. They were gonna go back in springtime. So they're basically out there in winter and they're like eating the I think one of the things they mentioned is that they were already eating the bait that they were supposed to use for
Mm.
fishing, but they're like eating
Right.
they had to
Yeah.
like resort to eating that bait.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And so at first, right, they're like, nah, we're gonna, we can't do shit. Let's take the day off in respect.
Yeah.
I'm like, all
All
right.
right. Sounds good to
But
me.
and then what fucking happens is that one of the supply crates or one of the supply barrels ends up washing ashore, and they get it, and they're like, oh fuck, we're starving, we need this. And so they go and they try to salvage and scavenge, and
Mhm.
that's when everything just goes to shit, because it's like, you guys just said you weren't gonna, you should have just
Yeah.
fucking left. You should have just been like, nope, we're fucked. Never mind.
Mm.
Hey,
This story, I think, had a
desperate
lot. The
times,
movie had a
Roland.
lot
Come on.
of symbolism in there. I think, as
Mm.
far as like the foreshadowing going, the main the heroine, the female lead, owns her late husband's fish processing yard, or
Mhm.
what was it, workshop or whatever it's called.
Like a cannery or something
Yeah,
almost?
yeah,
Or
there we go.
yeah.
And she talks about how it's all she's got left. She's lost everything else. And yet she's also in the middle of nowhere. And these people are like, man, there's only so much we can do. Like, we're struggling. And she's just like, well, I'm just doing this thing because, like, what else do I do?
Yeah.
And it talks like it really leans into that, I think, because the story is very simple, right? There's nothing very complicated. It's actually probably as simple as these people out fishing for a couple of days and shit happens, and then
Mhm.
it goes sort of from there. Um, the but yeah, like I kind of saw the way it was going to end very early on, just because again from this movie doesn't try to like trick you or anything. Like all of the little details and stuff are there. When they talk about the drug itself, the only way to take it out is through fire. I'm just like,
Yeah,
okay,
I wonder.
how big a
Yeah.
fire?
Yeah.
Oh, like, are we talking about a little match?
Well, that's what
And of course they keep.
that's what I had mentioned. This movie, it's almost like a supernatural thing instead of an alien. It's sort of like a
Right,
spirit or something. And like it built off
right,
that paranoia because everyone starts getting kind of paranoid of each other and
right. They're suspicious of each
yeah,
other.
suspicion, yeah. And you
Because
don't
then it's
know,
just like they don't
you
know
don't know
what to
who's
believe, right?
yeah, and you don't know who's next to like snap, kind of go crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you
Mm-hmm.
also
Or
don't
get
even.
infected,
You
or
also don't even know. Like we had mentioned later on, Bryce said like we don't know if it was just all in their heads. Like it never really was happening or anything like that.
yeah, it seemed
Uh,
like it was just a bit of madness, snow
yeah, and you
madness.
kind of that kind of leaves the movie kind of open to interpretation on how you see things. There's little clues here and there, and we had kind of discussed certain instances with interactions that they had with people and whether or not it was actually there. Because
So you guys have probably heard these stories, these sort of recollections, or little similar kinds of things about people that work in um, like research stations or out in the middle of fucking nowhere,
mhm,
like in Alaska or like in Montana, Wisconsin or whatever. Basically, for someone or like a small group of people are just basically isolated for like weeks or months at a time. And generally, a lot of them always have some kind of weird shit to talk about that they've like
yeah,
heard noises or they saw something, kind of.
Hmm.
and
And
that
I
could
think
be
this sort of plays more into that.
just the
Yes. So
effects of the
it's
psychosis.
psychological. It's a number of things, right? It could be psychological. It could be pathological. I guess maybe one of them is actually crazy,
Hmm.
or like they're, and then again like that ties into either personal things or maybe in their environment. Maybe one of them got sick. Some of the people in this movie, they get infections. They get feverish as fuck. One guy just it flat out fries his brain and he just goes crazy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I don't necessarily think that there's like one specific thing to point to. Even in the end, when they talk about the drug, you have like the reveal scene, I guess, where she's having like she's sort of either, you know what? If I was gonna say that there was some kind of ambiguity to that scene or to any of this in this movie, I think to me it would be that scene because I was thinking that when I first watched it, when she is so like when she realizes what she's done,
Hmm.
when the drogger comes after her and then she defends herself, sets the house on fire, gets out of there, and she's like, I did it, right? And then she has that moment where she's looking and it plays the scene back and you
Hmm.
assume that she's realizing, you can make the assumption that she's realizing like maybe what actually happened in her head, but I think it's left sort of ambivalent, where you can't actually tell. Like that could have
Hmm.
actually just been for us to see,
Yeah,
Yeah.
not her like having a realization. Like I feel like maybe she is still, like not. I don't think she realized what happened. I don't. I still
Well,
think that that
the,
they're,
that's the question I had
you
at the
know,
end because it kind of just left it up into interpretation on what you think is actually happening, because we're
yeah.
playing on like the little bit of the clues just on their expressions and how they're
You got the
reacting to
cabin
things and how
fever.
she's recollecting something. We don't know if that's true or false
Right,
because like
because she
yeah
doesn't indicate either way, like that
yeah
she's having some kind of either realization or regret or just like, hey, what the fuck? What just happened? My house is on fire. Like no, it's just
mhm.
like boom, boom.
Yeah.
I went. I need to live,
Yeah,
and
so I think that's
I
what
don't know.
I think that leaves it
I
good
kind of like
though.
that.
That's a good way to end it because it's just not doesn't leave you with like too much closure other than just like I said a discussion like what is actually is happening.
So yeah, I think it finds like like a like a happy medium between like uh because to me like this kind of shit is boring in the sense of okay, look, this is an interesting story, or it's a excuse me, it's a pretty straightforward story. A lot of the film's weight is in how it's shot. It's
Mhm.
in like the atmosphere, like it's in the how they they built the sets, and obviously the fucking actors themselves, as they're portraying people shitting their pants constantly, basically.
Yeah.
Um, where's I going with that? The thing is that I get bored with stuff like this where it's like, oh, again with all the foreshadowing, and it's like, oh, they end the story, and it might have been this thing or it might have been that thing, and it's like, oh, and now they're free, or oh, they've escaped. Like it kind of reminded me of like a more boring version, like like the mystery suspense version of The Thing,
Mhm.
where it's like everybody's just suspecting each other, kind of thing. But obviously, that actually does kind of a similar bit as well, where a lot of the special effects and like the shots are what take the show in that. Um, anyway, like where I was my point is that where I was going with this movie is that um, it I think it did a cool job with not leaving it to be like super cliched in the end, where it's like, oh, they're free, or oh, they're still sick. Like it did like a kind of like an Inception ending where it's like, well, it's not. I don't like the idea of a director leaving things to interpretation to their audience. I think that's bullshit. You're not painting a fucking portrait, or doing some kind of like artistic fucking installation. It's a movie. Everything that you want is in that fucking movie, and so you either explain everything or you don't, and that's it. Like you don't leave people to let on their own bullshit kind of thing. And so I like this in the sense of like, okay, or I prefer this if the director just did not say shit, or the writers or anything, like, nope, this is the way it ends and this is what you want. I don't need to tell you anything. You go ahead and think what you want, but it really doesn't matter. Like that's I would prefer that sort of thing as opposed to, well, how did this movie make you feel? What was the spirit of the Draugr coming through? Was it society, or what do you guys think? You know,
What
like I I
what
don't
about
like
you,
that
Bryce?
shit.
Did you have
Okay,
what were you said you were gonna say something earlier?
sorry.
No, it's okay, man. Yeah, I kind of was gonna just kind of agree with you a little bit. Like there was times where it did drag on a little bit. It's in the middle of the Arctic. It's not really the set. Like the filming location is absolutely gorgeous. I would tell you guys
Yeah,
it's
dude.
funny. Like I would have loved if it's December here. It would be great if it was a little colder when watching this
Frozen
movie instead of
over.
80
Like
degrees in
like
South Texas
sweating
here.
my
But
ass off over here,
yeah,
and like it's like
this would have been a great
76
movie to
degrees or
watch on a
some shit.
cold night. Like yeah.
Would it
But
kill
yes,
us for some
I
fucking shade?
no, man. The sets and the shots, specifically one that I really enjoyed is where she thinks she's coming up on the Draugr, and it's just a bird on top of the guy's neck, and it flies away.
Mm-hmm.
That's really well
Mm-hmm.
done. So I do feel like the movie, like you said, kind of in a way, like it has its weight on that, like the shots and the acting, and it's really good too. So yeah, like with these type of
Very slow
movies,
paced.
well,
Holy
yeah,
shit, very
and
slow.
those shots they do, and some of the build up with the tension of like her seeing the Draugr like in her bedroom, and the way they kind of, I don't know, I thought they did that really well, and it kind of helped to break up the monotony of the setting, you know,
Mhm.
because it's in the middle of an Iceland.
It
You know,
doesn't start getting like super, I guess, cryptic and strange until like almost an hour in. I
yeah.
think.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You know, when they start like when I can't remember her fucking name. But anyways, when the heroine goes and starts looking through the caskets,
Mhm.
and they're just like, no, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, ma'am.
Mhm.
And then finally they find one and it's empty, and they're just like, you know, like, yes, give me this more.
Yeah, and they had
Fuck,
like
It
almost an
was
the
hour in.
actually.
they talked about the superstition about like the like turning the caskets and stuff like that, and then they end up doing it to kind of I
Mm-hmm.
just to clarify something for me, if you can remember, like were they doing those turns to make the spirit lose its way, or to
I
make
Yeah,
I
probably make the
think
spirit
that
lose
supposed
its
was
way?
part of it. Yeah.
to. You're supposed to turn it 3 times, cast it 3 times, so it wouldn't be able to find you, or wouldn't be able to find its way
Right,
back.
right, okay, yeah.
You were supposed to bind its
Feet,
legs or
legs.
something, and then
Legs with rope.
you were supposed to put nails through its feet so it couldn't walk in your dreams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do any of that. I think they may have spun it, but they didn't put the nail, because then they go back later and they do that after they see the ones missing. They're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
and then they're like, we better.
Mm-hmm.
Which actually, I meant to ask you, and I don't know if you want to get into to this at this point, but so if we are to leave it into interpretation of whether or not there actually was a Draugr, then why was one of the caskets empty?
See, that's the
I
thing.
didn't
You
get
never
that.
know.
That's exactly what I was kind of thinking of. Because when you first see it, you're like, oh, it's that, you know, it's the
It's the
thing.
one that
Oh
got
shit,
split
you
in the
know.
face, right, with the axe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
No,
so.
wait. No, I think that was
Um,
like one of the first ones they opened.
oh,
You know what? See,
yeah.
that's the thing. You have
No, I
to go
think you're
back
right. I
and
think you're right. I think you're right. I
verify that,
remember
because
that.
I'm not exactly too sure, because that's one of the things is like, is it she really seeing this? Is this thing out there because one of the caskets is empty? But then again, like, maybe someone was
So
just
the only
playing
thing I
a
can think
joke.
of about that is that it was the guy that took the fish fucking with him,
Oh, okay,
Mm.
yeah.
because I believe that was part of what he was trying to do originally when he
He was
took all
trying
the
to mess
food
with
and
them.
had them starve. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was. I think it was partly trying to mess with him and mostly just trying to get revenge because of, I guess, of his brother,
Yeah.
whom washed up on shore, and they were looking through his things and stuff, and I guess he took that personally. But
So it probably bears
yeah,
rewatching, honestly. You know, rewatch it one more time just to kind of, or maybe a couple
it's a
times just to
short
kind of
movie.
like, yeah, but just to kind of, because there was some things I needed clarification. I think if I rewatched it, I would catch it. But
Preferably on a
um,
cold night with a nice
yeah,
alcoholic drink would do well.
Yeah, maybe something really strong. This is a very
but
quiet movie, so
yeah,
it's
I'm
it's
telling you, man,
also
this would have been so great if it was cold. I could have made that stuff I made for you guys at one time, that mulled wine, that Glühwein as they call it in German.
mm,
Like, that would have been great
yeah,
on a cold night. Nice hot boozy drink. That would have been great. But fortunately, it's 80 degrees at night in December, so yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
hooray.
Perhaps maybe a
Um,
Mai Tai would be
Unfortunately,
better,
we're sweating our
more
balls
appropriate.
off.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love it in
just to
winter. Fuck.
clarify, as far as like the positives of this movie, I talked to you about, guys, kind of briefly last night on Discord, saying like the positives for me in this film obviously are the cinematography. It's shot beautifully, beautiful locations, all filmed in Iceland, which and it's the same location, but every time you see like the water and then like in between the mountains and stuff like that, it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
The acting's
Mhm.
really good. I
Yeah.
The story, again, story's simple, not too complicated, but still leaves it a little bit ambiguous for the audience members, because again, we all kind of had like some kind of different interpretation of like how we're seeing what's happening, because it's not
Mm.
set in stone, but also there's not much exposition given
No,
during
they're
the
not.
film. But
It's actually
I think the good thing
you
about
can
this
miss it
movie
pretty
is that
easily.
it lets the audience it doesn't dumb it down for the audience, you know what I mean? It kind of like leaves it
Oh,
as is, and then I it's rare you get some
yeah.
of that in these types of movies, but I'm glad they did it that way.
I guess that the simple story or whatever lends itself towards not having to hold the audience's hand for anything,
Yeah, probably.
because it's just everything's right there for the most part. But again, like they don't, like you mentioned, they don't really go into, they don't go into much description about things. It's just like, oh, it's a Draugr. Ah, superstition. Okay, fine. Jesus.
Yeah. It's
You
not
know,
like
for a while, and
it's
then
not
it's like,
the origins
where
of the
is your
Draugr.
god
You
now?
know? Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, they don't get all existential with it. It's just like this
Yeah.
is just a situation that's happening in this location,
Yeah.
and again, the audience
well,
is kind of
somebody-
like
and
experiencing it, you know. So that's why I feel that
Even the other guy.
leaves it done well. What about you, Bryce?
Yeah, it's
What about you? What
I'm
do you
just
think
gonna
about
have to
this?
pretty much piggyback off you, man. Like that was my biggest things with this movie. I like the way they set up the shots and the scenes were done really well, especially some of the more whatever the supernatural elements. If you, I mean, pretty much like when she's seeing the Draugr, like, but they did really well. You know, like it was there was like they did little small jump scares here and there occasionally. It wasn't
Very
anything like
small, very.
yeah, very subtle, which I appreciate that. They didn't have to go all out with it, and I like that. And you know, I thought the scenes where she would wake up and he would just be in the corner, just about to show his face, never does. Like I thought that was really done. It was creepy, you know. They thought they did that really
was
well.
some kind of like Blair Witch kind of stuff, even.
Yeah, yeah. It was like very slow
That's what I
reveal
was
of
thinking
it, and
about.
yeah, I just I really dug that. Again, the scene like where I was telling you with the bird, like that. I thought that was really interesting. Shot.
Yeah,
little
that was
setup.
one of the best shots. I completely forgot about it because it was used in the trailer, and that was actually initially what got my attention. I'm like, hey, that's a cool little. I do have maybe one complaint, and I want to see if maybe you guys agree with me on this or not.
All right.
So back to the reveal end, right? These guys pretty much do a great job of not like leaning in too hard to that I can see on the special effects, with one exception, and that is in the end,
The face?
when you flat out see
yeah.
the face, like
Yeah, I was
and he
gonna
does
say
he
when
tries to do
they-
like a shitty melting The Mummy Returns face, you know, with the
Yeah.
stretching mouth, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
or like you know he's trying to channel his best Norwegian fucking Russell Crowe, you know,
Yeah.
from the Pope's Exorcist or whatever. I don't know.
They
That-
spent all the budget on the location, man. That's
yeah, on
they
the
get,
fucking plane ride, plane
they
ticket.
get special permits to film there.
I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, you remember Violent Nature,
Dude,
the amount of money these guys spent on just getting their fucking equipment out there.
it's
you know?
so funny you were saying that though. I was just telling
You
Ray before he
brought that
got
up.
on. I was like, I wonder if it's so in Violent Nature. It's all in summer. It's hot. It's like I wonder if they had the same thing, but you know it's cold, and they're gonna make like a documentary about how it was like so bad to film.
They just got fucked.
Yeah, because like, dude, like there's nothing out there, so it's like I can only imagine.
Oh.
They're working off generators and
dude.
shit.
Yeah,
Probably,
I mean, yeah, I can imagine if stuff would go bad.
These
pretty
guys could not. This is a very low budget, movie.
Very low budget, but done well. Like done really, really well. I think.
I very well. I'd be kind of curious to hear read about what kind of equipment they used, because again, like the lighting is just like Jesus Christ.
They're all using iPhones.
I
and
was watching
shit.
here on my projector, and like it doesn't have the brightest colors, but it was still just like I didn't have to fuck with shit. And that's because it was still dark, like a lot of the movies spent in the dark, or by
Yeah.
lamplight and stuff. And I had no trouble with fucking like just seeing everything, for the most part. I was very surprised. It was pretty cool. I really did have to chat, sort of like switch my gears up to watching this movie, because it is generally not the sort of thing in my wheelhouse, as I'm pretty sure you guys know.
Yeah, it's a slow burn. I mean, it's a slow burn, but I
don't
think
generally have the attention span.
I think it's done well enough, and the story is intriguing enough to kind of keep your attention. And
Yeah,
again,
it pulls
just
you.
by
It keeps
the
you
location and
curious.
cinematography, like it just looks cool. Looks really good.
I mean, if they took the fucking actors out of this could have just been a nature documentary, and they just kept the shots,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
straight up.
Yeah, just like nice
Straight up, like-
panning, nice
Yeah.
panning shots.
I
And
think the
stuff.
secret too with the slow burn movies is that it's fine to do that. Just don't. Sometimes with slow burn movies, they really like to stretch it out, and it's like, okay, we got all the atmosphere. We you know what I mean? It's atmospheric in
not-
this motherfucker, right? Let's
All right,
like,
2.5 hours,
it's-
bitches. It's
yeah, you know what I
wants
mean.
to
So
watch
they did that to keep it. They did a good job keeping it concise.
for it being an
uh,
hour and a half. It still was like I didn't feel like it was a short movie at all.
Yeah.
I think at one point I messaged Ray. I was like, "Fuck, it's still got another 20 minutes."
Yeah.
fuck is going on?
Well, the thing about this movie is that when I was
Um,
watching it, I had to stop a few times because I was doing other stuff. Like I had to go to the kitchen to check something and all this other kind of stuff. So like I tried to like get myself in a situation where I was like starting to get like real comfortable. I had the blanket and that little like
Yeah.
neck pillow because I was watching it on the computer and stuff. And like I was like just watching it in the dark and just kind of like zoning in on it. I was just like,
Shit.
but it was
Yeah.
bright enough to like keep my attention also. So,
Yeah.
but I told Roland
Yeah, the
that like when I was
screen.
watching it, I was like, man, I kind of like want a cigar and some whiskey to be drinking to be watching this fucking movie. And again, it would have been a lot.
There's men of the sea. They're
It would have been
also
a lot cooler if
cold
it
and
was cold. Yes,
strong.
Yeah,
obviously, right?
it's a comfy movie. It's a
Yeah,
comfy movie.
yeah,
You wanted some of that? I don't know what they were drinking. It was like I'm guessing it's not rum, but I guess it could be vodka. It was clear.
Yeah.
They kept shooting that clear shot. I was like, man, I kind of want some liquor right now.
Those are big glasses.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
Um,
I thought this was a pretty good movie. And was it the best movie? Obviously not. But I think it was
it doesn't matter though.
the good entry into the horror genre or horror drama genre, I guess.
Sure. I
Um,
mean, there's a lot of this movie has a lot going for it. I think.
and in the
It's pretty
folklore,
cool.
folk horror
Yes.
genre
Yes.
for sure.
Which I mean, basically, the not to be derivative or reductive, but what they're talking about is just it's their version of a zombie. It's just a reanimated corpse.
Mhm.
The Nordic zombie. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. These people that they're
Anyone who's
lost
played
at sea.
Skyrim knows the drugger.
Yeah, that's right. They get washed ashore, and all that's left in them is hate and bitterness and
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's enough to pick up a dead corpse and get it to walk around and shit. I don't know, but
So just
yeah, it's
what we're gonna do this time around, come 2025, which is probably the time you're about to watch this movie. We're not gonna do ratings, just whether or not you recommend someone to watch it. We're doing away with some of the arbitrary numbering of our ratings. So
I mean, it is arbitrary. It's whatever the hell
yeah,
we want.
that's what I'm saying. We're getting rid of it,
Like,
trying something new this
yeah,
year.
yeah.
So I'll just
Sure,
say
man.
this: would I recommend this movie? Yes, absolutely. Check it out, especially if you're a fan of this type of horror movie. If you're not, just
Yeah.
avoid
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Like, don't even bother. But Bryce, do
Yeah.
you recommend? Would you watch it streaming? Would you pay for it?
Yeah. I would recommend it, and I was just gonna say on a caveat of I wouldn't recommend it to everybody, but certain people definitely I would recommend it to because I know this type of horror is not gonna be for everybody.
Yeah.
You
No.
know.
You,
But yeah.
you can't go in here expecting some kind of Friday the 13th or whatever situation.
Yeah.
As much
Let's
as
just
that would
say
be great.
if you like, The Conjuring and all that, you're probably not gonna. Well,
I would,
maybe, don't
I
know.
would say like this movie is like if you're a fan of like even like Robert Eggers' The Witch or like Lighthouse and stuff
Yeah.
like that, I would say definitely check this
If you
movie out. I
prefer
think
your
it's kind of like
your
right
horror
up your
to be
alley.
a little low key,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not quite so over the top in every sense.
What about you, Roland?
I would recommend this. I would recommend this. Pretty much in the same suggestions that you had there, Bryce. It's not for everyone. I think that a very specific set of people that enjoy, like I
Brand
was
of
trying to think
horror?
of like well, yeah, brand, yeah, but I was trying to think of like something between like isolationist horror or like maybe abandoned. But my point was that I was trying to think of like something that describes people out in the middle of fucking nowhere in a situation, which is I think a pretty well, it's not a standard horror trope, but like it fits in that kind of sense to describe certain movies that way. I actually would recommend to see this in theaters because it would probably look fucking amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
on the
it would.
screen.
Yeah, for sure.
Like abso-fucking-lutely. Like if you're not a fan of this kind of movie, but like you want to see some like really great footage, that kind of thing, like I would probably recommend this. Yeah.
You know,
even
I'm
if,
not.
even not
I'm
notwithstanding.
not exactly sure if this is coming out in theaters or not. All I know is that it's supposed to be released in January.
It would be great. If you want to see this, get a sharp ass TV or just a giant image because like
a
that's
nice,
the way I think
a nice
best
high
enjoyed.
definition TV would do this pretty well.
Yeah,
yeah.
you want to see the
You want to see the
you
ripples
want to
in the
see
water.
all the wrinkles, all the wrinkles.
You want to see all the crevices in the mountain and the ripples in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that
Yeah.
shit.
Mm.
All right, well,
Every ripple.
that'll be it for us. Again, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and do check out The Damned whenever it does release. Whenever it actually does release, I'll post something on Instagram or Blue Sky or
Hey guys, remember us?
if that other one exists, the TikTok.
We thought you were cool.
Yeah, or we're kind of trying to get off of Facebook because I can't stand it anymore, and it's just rough.
Twitter is not much better.
Twitter blows
It
also.
is.
X, if you will.
I mean, we're gonna have to figure out TikTok pretty soon too, because I'm pretty sure they want to shit can that next.
Well, it's just gonna be then Instagram and Blue Sky then.
Reels.
Ugh.
God.
Oh, and no, fuck that.
Oh.
Just YouTube Shorts.
Maybe Tumblr will come back.
Yeah.
We'll be on YouTube Shorts.
I still see people like make like nostalgic Tumblr posts on Reddit and shit.
Oh,
like,
really?
Hey, what's up, buddy? Yeah. When all the social medias fall, Tumblr shall rise.
No, they'll
Rise
bring back Vine. Do that.
and MySpace. And,
Yeah, what the hell, MySpace? I was gonna say.
and LiveJournal.
It's time for Tom to rise. You know.
You know what?
to rise again.
You know
rise
what?
again, yeah.
It's about time we start ranking friends again, because this bullshit of us like accepting everybody at once. No, you need to show people who's number
That's right.
1 to number 8 in your life.
You're gonna be tier lists. You know,
Yeah.
I want my acquaintances and my associates separate.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
and people
that. It's
people
all
get
ranked.
notified when they
That's
get moved
fun.
into a different category. They might feel better or
yeah,
worse about
exactly,
themselves.
right? So like it's like
Yeah.
keeping score or whatever. Yeah, you're not
That's the
really
thing, man. It's
you're not
like
doing well this week. We're gonna move you down to brown tier.
that was back when you had to be a cool kid, you know. It's
Yeah.
like now they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. They don't even let you see. They don't even let you see dislikes anymore.
Your
on, like,
feelings
YouTube, right?
are heard.
Yeah.
They are important.
Right.
I guess the closest
Someone
thing you
else.
have is like the green circle on Instagram. That's like close
Hey,
friends
your
group.
close
That's about
friend
it.
group? Yeah, I guess so.
Oh yeah. Wow, I forgot about that.
Well, the
Yeah.
only thing I get is whenever like we get dislikes on our videos. We haven't got any like hate comments or like really passive aggressive comments.
I just remember the good ones. Those are the ones I keep close to my heart.
the ones that
Usually
really
involves calling me a fuckwit or something.
the ones that really drove the whole personal. You guys should stop doing this and go work at McDonald's or some shit.
Yeah, like
Wow, I didn't hear about that. That's crazy.
bold to think that they would hire.
Wow.
Bold of you to assume
Wow.
that I
you
haven't
know,
applied already.
And now essentially they're calling you a snitch if they're telling you to work at McDonald's.
Yeah, forget that, dude. We go to Wendy's where they don't
Yeah,
snitch.
that's true. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
All right.
That. Review bomb all of them.
Yeah, that'll be it for us. We'll see you next time. Oh, leave a comment if you can. Goodbye.